Okay, give me one example of a passionate person.
I said Mr. Jesus.
Mr. Beasley, is that one of your, oh, he's your counselor? Well, how do you know he's passionate?
He's passionate about AIDS and passionate.
About maize? Oh, okay, so does he wear something that has maize on it all the time? Or? Yeah. I've seen people like that. Okay, so, but you know he's passionate because he literally wears it on his, right, okay, yes. Yes, I'm sorry. What's your name? Danae. Danae?
My uncle, he's passionate about being successful, and I can tell because he always teaches me about finances and opportunities.
Is he very successful himself? And so that's a good example, right? So you know that he's passionate about it because he's actually living it, right? Okay, yes.
I said basic. I said he's passionate about being an actor. Because it's sells people his,
His acting persona?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's the only way to be a good actor is actually absorbing yourself in the role, right? Right, okay. Yes.
I tell my mom.
I'm sorry, what's your
Tell my
name?
mom. Oh, Christian.
Christian.
Tell my mom about getting her doctor's degree.
Oh, very good. Okay. And how do you know she's passionate about it?
If she has to go to work early morning about 6 o'clock, and she knows she gotta get something done, like she'll still do it. She'll do it right away.
And she'll stay up late doing it? Yeah. I know about that. Okay, very good. Yes.
I said the subject.
I like this version.
Thank you. I think so because she's very passionate about education.
About education.
Yes.
Yes.
She just like us.
Well, no. The lady, yeah, the lady was here, right? Okay.
Yes. The short lady.
Oh, okay, yeah. And she said she's passionate about education. And does that drive you to be passionate?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I said my sister, she wants to do something in the same room. And I know she's not trying to study biology.
What grade is she in? Is she in college or is she? Okay. Is she in the beginning part of college or has she gotten to that medical school? Yeah. But she has to really study hard? Yeah. It's hard to get in medical school, so she has to be passionate. Yes.
I said my mom, she's passionate about her children in general, because she will drive from the Cab County all the way over here. If I say wrong, I need something. So I
Yes.
think she's
I understand that, because I'm a mother, and of course I wouldn't be here if I weren't passionate about my children. So, yeah. So when a person is passionate about something, sometimes that can be contagious, right? Because if they're passionate about education, if you have a teacher that comes in class and just sits there and says, okay, do your work, is that going to make you passionate about education? No. You want somebody who actually looks like they're enjoying what they're doing, right? Otherwise, you're not going to be passionate about it. If they're not excited, why should I be excited? Okay. So, passion also is important when you're starting your own business. Why is that? Yes. I'm sorry, your name.
Danae.
I'll learn. That's what it is, Danae.
You have to be passionate about it because there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to want to give up. But if you have a vision in your head, you're using to motivate you during a hard time.
Right. And why if you're doing a business, would you give up? When you start your business, are you going to be instantly rich?
No.
Okay.
Because maybe sometimes you probably is not going to good or you probably have struggles with some things.
Well, one thing, when you start a business, you're going to have to suffer a little bit. Why? Because you're not going to be working for anybody else, which means you're not getting a paycheck. Okay? So you're dependent on this business to bring in your income. So you might have to eat ramen noodles for a couple of nights or whatever, but you're not going to just walk in and be successful unless you just take over a business that's already generating money. Okay, like say your family owns a business and you take that over, that's different, okay? But if you're starting up your own business, it takes businesses 5 years at least to get off the ground. Okay, so for 5 years, you might have to go without getting the latest shoes or getting the latest technology or whatever the case may be. You might have to suffer a little bit, but once the business gets started, then maybe the first 2 years you might barely make it. Maybe the third year you might break even. So whatever you put into it, you might get back. And then usually by the 5th year, you can see some profit. So you have to be patient. And you have to be passionate and believe no matter what happens, I'm going to stick with this. When should you let it go, though? When you see it's what? It's just not going to work. And maybe it's not that you shouldn't start your own business. Maybe you should do something different. Or maybe you should take inventory and see maybe there's something I could be doing differently. Okay? Okay, so let's go down to strengths. Why is it important to assess our strengths? Yes.
Because you can use your strengths to your advantages to outweigh your weaknesses. Like, if you want to start a business, you can take over a certain section of it because you know it's what you're doing.
Right. So you're more likely to put your effort into something that you're good at, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to start a business and, let's say, being a stockbroker, okay, I would be very lousy at it. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about stocks. So if I got in, I probably wouldn't do too well because one, I don't have any knowledge of it. So what's the first thing you have to do?
Learn it.
Learn it, right. Okay. Then the next thing you have to do is decide, is this something I'm good at? I remember when I first started college, many years ago, I wanted to be an accountant, okay? Well, back in those days, they didn't have computers. So you had to do a ledger. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, because have you taken any accounting classes yet? Okay. Back in those days, you had to actually have this long worksheet, and you had to add everything up and subtract it by hand. Well, the first class I took, I said, I know I don't want to do this. Plus, I like working with people. People are my passion. So because I like working with people, I knew I didn't want to work with numbers. I want to work with individuals. Now, not that you can't work with people in accounting, but that's not the main thrust of accounting. So I really knew that's not what I wanted to do. And I tried different things. By my junior year, I knew I wanted to be a special ed teacher, and that's what I went to school for. Okay? And at that time, I worked with kids that had behavior problems. And it was very interesting, and I actually enjoyed it, and found out that it wasn't as difficult as people thought it was. And the kids were actually really smart. They just needed somebody to pay attention to. Okay? And so that became my passion. I really loved working with children, and especially kids with problems, because I felt I could help them resolve. And a lot of times I did. Sometimes you can't help everybody. So I knew that that was a strength area for me because I was successful at it. And it was something I loved to do on top of that. So you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. I know I'm not good at math, so going into accounting or anything that involved math, probably I wouldn't be very successful. Okay. And then also to do my job, I had to have strengths like creativity. I had to be passionate and patient. And I had to be determined. I couldn't give up just because somebody seemed unreachable. I still kept trying to reach them. Okay? So I had to have a certain amount of determination. And to start your own, any kind of business, or to do whatever you're going to do, you have to have some determination. Some people in here said they want to be a nurse. Well, trust me, wanting and getting there Two different things, because the coursework is hard. My mom was a nurse, and I know other people that went into nursing. In fact, my daughter went into nursing. Okay, the coursework is very difficult. You have to be good at science because it's a lot of science. But once you get past it, then you can get to the part where you actually get to those people and all that. But you have to get to it. So not only do you have to have determination to get to where you're going to go, but you have to have determination once you get there. Okay. All right. Let's turn to the next page. Where it says strength starting points. Okay, they said, what brings you joy? What keeps your attention the longest? What's the first thing you think about in the morning? And what's the last thing you think about at night? What activities fulfill you? And what areas do you always have success in? Okay, so for me, I said student accomplishments, and then I put accomplishments as the one word, okay, for things that bring you joy. What keeps your attention? I think problem solving, solving a problem keeps my attention the longest. And then for the one word answer, I put problem. And what do I think about the first part of the day? What I'm gonna do, the activities of that day. And when I go to sleep, I think about the activities of the next day. And it fulfills me to work with people and helping others. That's my last. So just put in there what things help fulfill you. And trust me, it doesn't have to, I mean, please make it appropriate, but it doesn't have to be, it can be a funny answer if you want to do it. If the first thing you think about in the morning is breakfast, you can put it down. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read Bashal's because I think it's kind of interesting. He said, what brings you joy? Of course, we all know acting. What keeps your attention the longest? Twitter and television. What's the first thing you think about? You want to read it? Nikki. What's the last thing you think about at night? Jesus. What activities fulfill you? Acting. And the area you always have success in is math, and I thought that was unusual. Because if you're good at math, usually you would pick acting. Most people that are interested in acting are good in, right, language arts, literature, but math, that's your strongest subject, huh? So how did you get from math to acting?
I don't know, it depends on the teacher.